What's going on? You're tapped in with the Questions Hip Hop Podcast. My name is Sean Kantrowitz. Every week on this show, we do deep dives, thought-provoking conversations, thought experiments, debates, interviews, all sorts of things related to hip hop, music, and culture. This episode is episode number 196, and it is the inaugural maiden voyage of our draft format, where we draft songs and key moments and milestones from a specific year. We're doing 1995 this year, and we are going to be joined by my sometimes co-host MidaZ the BEAST, Trackstar the DJ from Run the Jewels, and Jason Gloss from Philaflava and Take It Personal Radio. It's going to be a great one. Before we hop into it, I want to remind you that the Questions is powered by the support of its Patreon members. If you like the show and you want to get bonus content, exclusive episodes, things that don't make it into the main feed, video, photo, essays, articles, and music that you can't get anywhere else, you should join the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/thequestionshiphop or hit the link in the notes. We're going to get right into this. So here we go. It's The Questions, episode 196 with MidaZ the BEAST, Trackstar the DJ, and Jason Gloss. We are doing the 1995 draft. Man, The Questions Hip Hop is back at it again. How many more somewhat complicated, involved, high concept formats can we add to this show? I don't know. We're going to, innovate and do something new in the space. I'm your host, Sean Kantrowitz, and this is the 1995 draft episode. We are going to be deep diving every so often into a different year and talking about our picks, our reflections. This is basically just an excuse to have a bunch of us argue about rap music and geek out about rap music, which nothing wrong with that. So I'm joined, we'll go through the rotation here, at least as I see it on my screen. We got Trackstar the DJ is our first esteemed guest. Trackstar, man, what's been going on in your world? How you doing? How you living? Just, tell the people what's been going on in your life as a rap fan.
Oh, man, I'm chilling. This year's been pretty laid back. Last year, we were on the road with Killer Mike a lot. We did the Dave Chappelle stuff at the end of the year. Just been working on production a little bit more. Obviously, my radio show on Shave 45. Got a project coming out with my dude Damon pretty soon, which will kind of be my debut production experience. It's pretty exciting. And yeah, man, just, hanging with the family. Spent the day with Amina today. It was awesome.
Love it. Next up in the lineup, we got MidaZ the BEAST, no stranger to the show. He's the Making Illmatic co-pilot. He's one of my best friends, one of my rap aficionados. MidaZ, how you living?
Man, all is well, man. 1995, my guy. The fuck are we talking about? I'm hyped. I'm beyond hyped. You're gonna introduce Jason next, and nothing gets me more riled up than scrolling through IG and seeing like anything that I could possibly perceive as RZA disrespect pre 2000. Anything pre 2000 that I even smell a glint of RZA disrespect, I get real stressed out. And he's been making some great yearly posts, and I saw some comments in the chat, and I'm like, hold on, fam, the fuck is we talking about? So this is so timely because all I want to talk about is 1995. Let's get it.
You came to the right podcast to be a guest on. And then you can also go back and listen to this later if you're a psychopath like, many of us. We revisit the tape, the footage. MidaZ already gave a tease for the intro, but we're also joined by the illustrious Jason Gloss, a.k.a. Philaflava, Take It Personal Radio. I mean, like, you've sort of just been a fixture in my life, like, and I don't even know how I discovered, like, you just sort of started popping up, and, like, you're there. So what's good, Jason? Welcome to the show.
Illustrious. Thank you, man. I don't know if I appreciate it. It's hard to follow Trackstar. I mean, that's a pretty impressive year. I mean, I'm somewhat boring, man. I coach baseball, and then I do a hip hop podcast every few weeks. Yeah, but you
didn't do anything with Dave Chappelle last year?
No, Dave Chappelle. No, not Dave Chappelle. Dave Cohen maybe, but not Dave Chappelle. Now look, I am like you guys, a hip hop enthusiast, and we do the show because we really just, like you, want to relive those moments and shoot the shit and really have good conversation of yesteryear. So that's why we get people that we grew up idolizing, like G-Rap or KRS on the show, to really pick their brain and maybe give people like yourself a reason to stay in tune to that hip hop. There's so much good stuff these days, but our heart, like Mida said, when you hear 95, man, it just does something to you. And I'm sure we could talk for hours, but I'm looking forward to getting into 95.
Well, we're going to get into all of it. It's the 30th anniversary of 1995 this year, which made it a prime candidate to kick things off. So we have 7 categories, 6 in physical form, 1 in spiritual essence. No, just kidding. Just 7 categories. The categories that we're going to be drafting this year are all from 1995, and they are as follows: best album, best beat, best verse, best guest feature / guest verse, best overall MC, best producer, and best album cover. So we have assigned a random order for how the draft is going to go. We can all hop in, and you can pick any pick from any category as we go through. We'll go through the rotation and then in reverse order. So basically it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, back and forth, until we've hit all of them. So the random order that we have assigned, it is going to be Jason, MidaZ, Trackstar, and then myself cleaning up on the 4th. So I think we should just get into it, guys. Jason, you are first up. You get to pick your category, and then we'll discuss.
So any by the way, I've never been first in any kind of fantasy draft ever, so this is pretty exciting. I'm usually dead last.
You get Wembanyama.
So why don't we go right to what I think Beast wants to go into, and that's best producer of 95. And do you want me to kind of give my opinion, or are we just kind of going in just so I have...
It's your opinion. Yeah, it's your opinion. So you're going to pick, and then other people will chime in with their picks as they choose to. Again, like we're not all stuck in producer right now. We can hop around if we want.
Got it.
Yeah.
Best producer. I gave this some thought, and my heart says I should be going with DJ Premier. And I'll give you some reasons why, but then I'm going to tell you what I feel after that. So I think we can agree Premier's peak was probably 93, 94, 95. 95, he did the group home album, Living Proof. I mean, that speaks for itself, right? Yeah. He also had that signature ding sound, like the dude from Breaking Bad. You know what I'm talking about? Yep. So you heard that in Emcee's Act Like They Don't Know. You heard that in Return of the Brooklyn Dodgers, which I think was one of the greatest tracks of 95. There was a lot of things that he did in 95 that I thought stood out. It was as one of his better years. That said, going back to the stats, it's very hard to not award RZA the best producer because of the 3 albums that he produced that year. Not to mention, the Method Man remix to All I Need, but it's hard to gloss over Only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords, and Return to the 36 Chambers. And I think that is the reason why RZA is the best producer that year. Your take.
I was a little shocked because I thought you were picking Premier there, and I was like, man, there was only one obvious pick for me out of all of these categories, and that was like, who is going to slide in and take RZA first for best producer? Yep. Because you want to talk about like, the 5-year plan. Like this is the thick of the 5-year plan at this point, and the RZA's run in 95 was fucking incredible. It was fucking incredible. Like. Yeah. It's insane to look at it. And, it's funny. I went to this RZA film screening earlier last year. And I also went to see RZA do his classical album as well. I had like a very concentrated month last winter where I was doing a lot of RZA things.
Did Dave Chappelle go with you?
No, Dave Chappelle was not there. That would have been Trackstar. Trackstar is that's his guy.
The way. All right.
I'm more of a Neil Brennan guy myself, but no, it was interesting. You know, RZA did a lot of press as well last year. I heard him on Rick Rubin's podcast. I heard him on a few things where he just is talking about this era and how he just was so focused, so locked in, wasn't having fun. Like what you know, like he was in the lab, like not socializing, but creating hip hop history to the point that it would be egregious to. It's only fitting that we're starting this off with talking and mentioning and giving RZA his props because, like 95 was indisputably his year. I think we're all a little pissed that you took the most obvious pick. But
yeah, I mean, I think he's got a case for best year of any producer ever in 95. Yeah. Like, he'd probably be my number one. I'd have to like go through the stats and see if there's someone I'm missing, but
yeah.
The big thing about why I get so like RZA angry when I see things is because talk about 95.
Yeah, RZA.
Yeah. Talk about 95, but like the motherfucker did 5 perfect albums in a row. Like, you know, like it's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? And of those records, he does every
Frisbee.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Of those records, he does almost every song on all of those albums. You know what I'm saying? It's insanity when you really break it down. But I think the real jewel of it, especially in 95, is that these 3 albums come out in 95. And they all have production that matches the rapper.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's they don't sound like the same album 3 times. You know what I'm saying? It don't sound like just random hip hop songs. You know what I'm saying? Like the Dirty album sounds like Old Dirty Bastard's Personality. The Genius album, you know, like it's crazy how well he was able to match music to artists for 3 albums worth in 1 year. That shit is unfuckwittable in my opinion. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just got so excited because I know Trackstar is like Mr. Rap fan and he's already like angled his camera a little bit. I thought you were grabbing like some RZA scroll or like some rare thing, or were you? Oh my God. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I have the brand called Rap Fan, but I don't think there's any reason to think I'm any bigger of a rap fan than the 3 of you fellows, to be perfectly fair.
And I'm just going to set the standard.
I just copyrighted it, you know?
Well, I'm just saying that you've set a standard now. I expect for every proper noun that we acknowledge in this podcast, you will have a piece of memorabilia that you hold up. I'm sure
I might have to run to the other part of the garage, but I could probably do it, yeah.
So
I'll bring the laptop with me for the next one.
Quick question. When was, what month did Tikal come out in 94? Do we know?
I want to say it came out early.
Okay. Yeah, I want to say April, but I feel like I'm also talking out of my ass.
Because if the motherfucker drops to Cal between November and December, it's cooked.
It was November.
It was November.
November 15. Yeah.
I'm saying, so what are we even talking about? Like, but in the source, that would have been classified as 95.
I think the reason why we agree is because of the albums, but we got to give Primo his props because he may have had better songs. Like, just hear me out real quick.
Okay.
Next Level Remix, Showbiz and AG.
Fire.
Okay.
Fire.
Like I said, Return of the Crooklyn Dodgers.
Crooklyn Dodgers is a perfect rap song.
Living Proof. That beat is phenomenal. Rappers Are in Danger. MC's Act Like They Don't Know.
Real Hip Hop. Das Effects.
Das Effects. No Diggity as well. And then Fat Joe, he did Success Remix.
Yeah.
So I think he's in the conversation. But the reason why he doesn't get it is because he doesn't have the albums the same way that RZA has, you know. 1-2 pass.
Absolutely in the conversation for number 2.
To be fair, though, to still fight Primo more, because I guess I just have to do it.
Yeah.
RZA had the singles, too. They were just on the albums. Look. You get Brooklyn Zoo. You get Shimmy Shimmy Ya. Like, they're on the albums, but they're just as big singles. Primo didn't have this. He only could have singles because he didn't have the albums.
Criminology is pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong, but when I'm thinking like
from the Batman soundtrack,
yo, that is my shit.
Wow, wasn't expecting you to pull that out,
dude. That is one of the
he got the Cypress Hill joint. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Hold on. Don't foreshadow. I got that one coming. Relax.
Yeah, hold on.
man.
We're sort of breaking the cardinal rule of like naming other picks while we talk about picks. So yeah. Okay, we all can agree that RZA is great. I have a feeling that this is not the last time we're going to talk about RZA in this episode, but we're going to move on to the next one. I said MidaZ, you're second, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what are you drafting?
Well, let's you already know what it is. We're going straight to the best album.
All right.
I would be surprised if we don't agree on this one.
Yeah, this one. Well, I'll say this. This one was tougher for me. Okay, my favorite album of all time is from 1990. Is in this list. I'm going to say it in a couple of minutes or a couple seconds. But a lot of my favorite albums of all time are in this year too. So then it's like, if I felt bad about the fact that I was going to have to slight some of these records to show love to one in particular, but hey, man. Only built for Cuban links. Locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Ins and outs.
I could have done this with my eyes closed, imagining that was going to be your answer. Like I 100% knew when we were going to do this that you were going to try to slide in for the Raekwon album.
I never, so I'm 30. I'm 40. I'm about to say I'm 39. I just turned 40. I had to think about that for a second. I just turned 40, right? So I remember my introduction to that album was a friend of mine. I was late on Wu-Tang and late on getting music myself. You know what I'm saying? So like I would hear it in my uncle's cars, but I didn't have none of these songs, or none of these albums. So I remember having the Method Man tape, and I had the Method Man tape for a minute. And there's no internet, and I'm 12. You know what I mean? So like I don't know shit about when stuff is coming out or what, none of that shit. So I remember being on the bus. I'm rocking this Method Man tape every day like a psychopath, rocking the Method Man tape, rocking Illmatic like a crazy person on a school bus. And this kid that's older than me was like, yo, what you listening to? I'm like, I'm listening to Method Man. He's like, oh, that's old. I'm like, what you mean it's old? Like this, you know what I mean? Like, what do I know? He's like, man, if you like the Wu-Tang stuff, you got to get on that Raekwon. And I'm like, does it exist? You know what I mean? It's out. Like, what is that? And he's like, yo, I'll let you borrow it. You could dub it. And I'm like, okay, word. So he lets me hold his Raekwon tape, which was a dub itself. It wasn't the purple tape, but he lets me hold his tape. I take it home and I put it in because I didn't even listen to it on the bus. I put it in when I got to the crib, and off of the coke sniffing intro, I was like, this shit is different. Out the gate, I'm like, this shit is different. The cinematic approach of that record is still what I try to touch when I'm creating music myself. It sounds like a movie. So that record right there, if I was on an island and I had to bring an album with me, it's going to be hard not to bring that one.
Yeah, it's such a sort of torchbearer. Like, is there mafioso rap without like Cuban links? Like that sort of is, even though like that clearly wasn't the only style that Ray would necessarily do. It's such like it's a definitive like, it sort of planted the flag in that subgenre as well. Even though it's like so much more than that, but like again, you want to talk about like, again, showcasing like the chemistry of Wu-Tang. There's probably not another Wu-Tang solo album that like so readily like flaunts like a lot of the inner member chemistry, because half of the album is also, you got Ghostface on like half of it, which is like another thing that I can't think of any rap records that were doing that before that, where you're getting the artist, but you're also kind of getting a little bonus, side serving of another MC who's just, it's not like Ghostface was like Ray's weed carrier or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times where it's like, yeah, this guy is great.
It's not like Split Star.
Right.
Yeah, shouts to Split Star. I mean,
right there.
I haven't heard the solo albums by him in my time, but yeah, it's a special record for that reason too. And then of course we've already talked a little bit about RZA, but man, some of the beats on this album are just some of the hardest hitting from that era.
not just hard hitting though, but some of the most creative beats. And that was the thing about what I thought was interesting about RZA in '95 from a production standpoint, is that, you know, I had a friend once tell me, like, because I know there's a lot of producers who aren't really that big on RZA as a producer, because I've heard the stories like, well, RZA picks easy loops, and RZA wasn't really a digger, and didn't, like, everybody knew those samples, and like I've
You
heard a
pick 'em,
lot of
man.
that stuff. Say, I've heard a lot of that stuff in my life, right? Especially when you get people comparing him to Dilla, and you get people comparing him to Premier and Pete Rock. Those are some of the things that come out. The thing that I always thought about RZA though was these beats are so creative. Like, you think of Great Glaciers of Ice. Like, what is that beat? Like, what's happening?
Right.
Where did that come from? Like, Knowledge God. Like, where did these ideas come from? Verbal Intercourse. Who makes that beat? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, these beats don't make logical sense. So that's where I think the album really shines, is that the production is really creative too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this when it comes to people like poking holes in producers who do quote unquote like easy loops and stuff. Not only is it like, yeah, you do it, you pick it, but a lot of these things sound like it's easy. Try to remake some of these beats. And you keep in mind, if you try to do it today, you have world-class alien technology compared to what RZA was using in 1994 or 1995.
Right.
I promise you. Like, and I often will try to recreate beats, whether I think that they're great beats or I'm just like, oh, that doesn't seem like it's that easy. I have tried to recreate RZA beats. It is not plug and play, like, oh, it's easy, it's a obvious sample. There's so many intricacies and nuances that, yeah, people who say that just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it feels like a crazy take to me. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that. That's
It's
outrageous.
terrible. It's a crazy take to me too. I hate it.
You shouldn't be talking to these people, man. You're talking to the wrong people. Like,
I don't want you hanging out with those non-believers. Cut them out of your life immediately. All right, Trackstar, you're up. What do you got?
oh man, let's do best verse.
Woo!
And it's weird because I almost had this one in two categories, but I'm gonna split it up just for fun. But I think my favorite verse of the year is maybe ever is maybe Method Man on Shadowboxing.
Wow.
Okay.
That's crazy. I love that.
I had that as my best guest feature, which is probably what you were also thinking about. So what made you sort of split it, make the decision to do it that?
Well, it feels most like my favorite verse of the year. I haven't been able to think of another single verse that I'm like, it's that one for sure over Shadowboxing.
Right.
And then I had I've got another couple good guest verses in mind. So, I mean, I also thought about saying CeeLo on Cell Therapy.
CeeLo on Cell Therapy.
Yeah,
I thought about
I have that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Big L on Put It On until I saw that came out in November '94.
Gotcha. But don't kill picks. Don't kill picks because other we might,
you're right. I'm sorry.
We might slide in. Yeah.
I forgot the rules.
What is it? We're making up the rules as we go. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I really love, and Trackstar, I want to hear more about your love for this verse. But when I think about Method Man's verse on his two verses, by the way. So which one are you drafting?
That's true.
The first or the third?
I think the first one.
Got it.
Definitely the first one.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, but now you're making me question it. But yeah. I mean, I breaks it down to the bone gristle.
Yeah.
That's where I want to start.
I love his separation of words on this song. So like when he's talking about when it comes to RZA tracks, he puts the S of the word tracks on the next bar, and like that's just a stylistic thing. Like Method Man has so much style, like, and he still does today, but especially then he was just doing things that was just like so much of it was about the form of like what he could do as an MC. We talked about this a little bit on an episode that I think is going to air.
Just talking about like he's one of the interesting MCs that he's probably rapping better today than he ever rapped in his entire life from a lyric standpoint. But
and he doesn't curse anymore.
But from a style standpoint, it's not. I mean, what he was doing in 95, 96, 94, like.
Well, I mean,
it was untouchable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big difference is three letters, and it's not RZA, it's PCP. I think is.
Facts.
But and I've always said he's like maybe the funnest rapper to rap along with too. Like he's not difficult to rap along with, and it's just fun and sounds cool. You know, like he's not like he's just. I've always said he's one of the top 5 funnest rappers to just rap along with for sure.
Yeah, he's like this gets thrown around like as a pejorative term sometimes, but like he is a great pop songwriter in that he writes verses that are really, like you said, easy to rap along to, and like
Easy
they've
to
got
remember.
hooks.
Yep.
His bars are like hooks, you know, like, and like he can go sing songy, he can go really simplified. Like, you know, again, I think in more recent years he's gotten really focused on creating things that read just as well on paper that are impressive and like super, you know, complex. But even at the time back then, he was still crafting like songs and verses that just were like simple, easy. I think that's a big reason why he did stand out as sort of like the breakout star in a broader sense for the Wu-Tang members, because you got to make shit that people can remember and like can replicate, right?
He also had a really awesome voice. Like
Yeah.
you know, when you sound like that, it's hard to.
Yeah.
You know, you sound like that, and
automatically the coolest.
Yeah, you the coolest out the gate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that feature is amazing as a whole.
Yeah. Do you think that it started? Was there ever a world in which you think it was a Method Man song that had it just, to me, it's clearly like Jizza is great on it too. He's got a great verse, but like that is such a meth showcase. Like, is there any story behind that? Does anybody know?
Well, I'll say this, and Jason, tell me what you think, because you're a historian for this stuff. So tell me what you think here. I have a theory. My theory is that Liquid Swords is actually the first RZA album that ever came out. I consider Liquid Swords a RZA solo album featuring the Jizza. So the reason why
go on.
Yeah, okay. So the reason why this is my logic is because RZA's the guy that's into all the kung fu stuff. He's the super kung fu guy. And if you listen to Genius talk about that album, and all the different times I've heard him talk about it, it's, oh man, all I had to do was come in and lay my lyrics because RZA did everything else. And it really, that album feels more RZA personality-ish than any Wu album that's ever come out, in my opinion. It's super in the bag of what RZA was at that time, more so than any other record that, honestly, that's really ever came out from Wu-Tang, in my opinion. So I feel like RZA, you know, he picked all the samples, the album theme, the this, the that, the guest verses, who's this, who's that. I get the feeling that Jizza really only came in and just laid verses in the spaces almost. So that's my theory. And with that being said, if that's my theory, then Method Man might have been on it first. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows?
So you're saying it's Liquid Swords, aka Bobby Analog?
That's, I mean, I look, I have no way of corroborating that, but it's a good theory.
Yeah, I fuck with it.
I think Jizza influenced everybody from the Wu because he was the eldest statesman, and you know both of them were on Tommy Boy. Like Prince Rakim's style was a lot different than the RZA we know of '93 and '94, '95. And Jizza with the Pass the Bone was a lot different than the Liquid Swords Jizza. But I do think he's the guy who. He doesn't have the charisma or the personality like the Method Mans and the Ghostface, but he has the, I want to say, besides the knowledge, he has the influence on all those guys because he's the and aren't they related? Isn't Jizza and RZA related?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a big uncle to him. So I don't know. I don't know who was in the Kung Fu movies first, but I gotta think that RZA got a lot of that from Jizza.
Yeah.
I think I remember there was a scene in the Showtime documentary where they're all sitting in the theater and they're all kind of arguing over who came up with, I think either the Shaolin or there's a pretty big like major branding thing that they're all like arguing about. Or it's like I came up with that, and like they're all like, no, you didn't. You like we were putting you up on the Shaolin and the Kung Fu movies first, and it's a fun moment. I got to rewatch that because it's been a minute since I've seen it.
But I like the theory. I mean, you know, you never know.
It's a theory I've held for I have had in my pocket. And as the years go on, I feel it more. Like it's not that I believe it less. I believe it more as the years go on. Because to me, like everything about that record screams RZA to me. It screams RZA. When you think of Cuban Links, that doesn't scream RZA. That screams Raekwon and Ghost. RZA produced it, but it doesn't scream RZA to me. But Liquid Swords screams RZA to me. So that's just always been my theory.
I like it a lot more than the whole flat Earth theory thing that you were talking about before we started. So that's this. I can
tell Lord Jamar I said what up. Cut that out, please. No.
Yes, yeah. This is. Did you guys see Lord Jamar on what's the comedian
on Godfrey? On Godfrey. That's what I was reference. Yeah, it was.
I mean, here's the thing: you could have been referencing so many things. Like that's
true.
All right, but we digress. Peace to Lord Jamar. I am going to draft for my pick in the best beat category. I'm going to break things up a little bit. This is not exclusively a Wu-Tang episode. Gentlemen, the best beat of 1995 is Shook One's Part 2 by Mobb Deep. That is not only the best beat of 1995, but it is quite frankly perhaps the best hip-hop beat of all time. It has somehow remained timeless. It is a clear, bastion of 1995, 90s New York hip-hop. It has never sounded dated. It hits hard. It got a revitalization when it was used in the climactic scene in 8 Mile, which exposed a whole slew of people who had never, tapped into this music, to this beat. It is one of the most sinister beats of all time. Havoc killed it. It was a mystery for the longest time as well. Like the credits were not really known. I think in recent years, they started to leak out the sample, and it was like pretty fucking impressive, slow down and flip of this piano sample. And it is absolutely my favorite beat of 1995, unfuckwithable.
Can't fight that shit.
Yeah, it's
controversial pick, Sean.
But
dug deep for that one.
You didn't let me finish. I meant Shook One's Part 1, not Part 2.
Well, that came out in 94.
Right.
It's hard to beat that, but it goes to show you how great 95 was.
94.
It's like
95,
Onyx Last Days is a great beat
Woo!
that a lot of people don't talk about. Rather Unique by Pete Rock and AZ, another great beat. But Shook running Dilla before like the Dilla we knew him. I mean, but Shook One's is I think while a safe bet, the right pick.
100%.
Yeah.
Safe but right is by Holstees.
I'm jealous of that. I'll say too.
That's a T-shirt.
I do have some picks that I feel good about for beat. Other than that, but I'm jealous of that because that would have been my first pick. But so another quick theory, not so much a theory, but a thought process that I have.
You think RZA did that beat too?
Secretly he did. No,
the infamous is a RZA album.
Yeah, right. Yeah, secretly it is. There's, I think about versus battle or versus, the versus thing, and I've always told like my homeboys like, what are we argue and talk about all the time? What are unbeatable songs in verses? Like, what is a song that won't lose a round in verses? You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't think what song beats Shook One's? Like, Shook One's beats almost any song it goes up against. Like, almost. And especially if it goes second in that round. Like, you're almost guaranteed to be cooked. So that's how good the record is. And that's a lot off the strength of how ridiculous the beat is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so Trackstar, back to you. Since we're wrapping back around, what's your
well?
pick?
But if we're snaking, don't you have to go twice? Because otherwise, there's going to be.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
This is why I try to invite smarter people than me on my
Trackstar
show.
He watches sports, unlike you, and he understands how this stuff works.
Yeah. What was that Super Bowl thing, guys? Like, I was kind of busy and I wasn't able to check that out. All right, so you're right. I am going to go next. Oh, all right. You know what? I'm gonna go with album cover. I'm gonna go. We had a brief hiatus right now on Wu-Tang, but we're going right back into it. I got to go with ODB's Return to the 36 Chambers. Like, that is quite possibly one of the greatest hip hop album covers of all time, not just 1995. It gives you everything that you need to know about the album that you're going to listen to. It hasn't really been replicated. There's you could say that they're like, I'm just thinking of, does somebody hop in if I'm overlooking something, but like for some reason I'm just thinking there's got to be some album from the South or like the West Coast that was somebody's driver's license or something like that, but I'm not. Maybe I'm
Trick
just
Daddy had, I think, a driver's license. Or
Yeah,
something
I was
like
gonna
that.
say I'm picturing something in my head for sure.
Yeah.
I put a fake no ID driver's license on my best of no ID mixtape promo.
There you go, as an homage to the ODB record, I'm sure. No, it's so great. The story of it is classic. That Old Dirty Bastard had the vision for it. He went into Elektra. I think he might have gone to Dante Ross, who was A&Ring the project, and was like, "This is what I want to do." He was very clear about the vision of like how he wanted to present, his persona, his image as this, drunken welfare, amazing, character. It's it instantly when you see it. There's no confusing it. That is my pick for best album cover.
Yeah, can't fight that shit either. That's a really good one. There's
Nope.
Honestly, when you look at the album covers from '95, most of them aren't that interesting. To be completely honest, but there's a couple iconic ones, and I still think there's a couple in the tuck for as we move around.
What's funny?
Yeah.
There's a lot of classic albums that have actually pretty shitty album covers. And just as a side tangent, this isn't gonna like step on anybody's picks because he didn't exist in the year. You know what's so funny to me? Jay-Z really just has the same album cover almost every single album. It's always a very large photo of his face typically. Now I know like the Blueprint is like a little bit more stylized. That's maybe my favorite cover of his, but Reasonable Doubt, all the volumes, the Life and Times, it's really just a huge photo of Jay-Z's face almost every time. And nobody ever brings that up.
Well, that's how he was able to do that fucking commercial where he was.
Yeah, that commercial was great.
Cover,
Yeah, he was thinking long term. I'm thinking too short term.
I'd like to see a No Limit artist do a version of that commercial.
Yo.
I need a pen and pixel.
Yo, that would be crazy.
Hey, cutting in here real quick to let you know that there are portions of this episode that can't be found anywhere other than the Questions Patreon. Join the Questions Patreon, $5 a month, patreon.com/thequestionshiphop, or hit the link in the show notes. All right, so Trackstar, you are now up. What is your pick?
Oh man, there's so much strategy involved here. I mean, because like you said, with the album covers, not a lot of great choices. And you took my first choice.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to have to think of a third choice. I've got a second choice. But we might as well just call this the Wu-Tang podcast. I'm going to do Liquid Swords for album cover.
That's number 2. That was number 2 on my list. So
yeah, I mean, those are the only 2 I had. Every other album cover was just like, oh, that's a great album cover. No, I just like that album.
Yeah.
Like, is that album cover, or do I feel good when I look at it because I'm hearing the songs? See, I'm going to go with Liquid Swords. I mean, for obvious reasons. It's, incredibly dope. Also gives the feel and describes the album well visually. I mean, and as far as converting to a poster, I think it converts to a poster better than like almost any rap album ever, like stand alone as just a piece of art to look at on a wall.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I also really like how, a lot of on the streaming services, a lot of the albums have been like animated a little bit. And if you go on like Apple Music and like I've seen basically expansions of the Liquid Swords album cover where they've got like some motion in there, and it just
Okay, that's dope.
You feel like you're getting like you're catching something mid action, mid scene when you look at the still of it anyway. So it's pretty dope.
No, I like that.
Who did that cover actually? Did he do
Liquid
anything else
Swords.
or?
Great question. Who drew Liquid Swords cover? Dennis Cohen, Milestone Media founder and creative director.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stuff here. Yeah, he did a bunch of comics. Big surprise. I mean, if you look at that
sounds about right.
Yeah, a bunch of DC and Marvel. But that's crazy. If like, I wonder if Liquid Swords is the only album that he did.
Yeah.
Oh, he collaborated on a Prince comic book in 1991.
There you go.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it's dope how. Go ahead.
I was going to say also, I'm looking at his page. He was senior vice president of animation at BET, and he was part of the development and production of the first season of the Boondocks.
Oh shit!
This is
Dennis.
Hot off the presses. All right, Dennis. You did good, Dennis. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, you're good. I was going to say it's also great how he's able to infuse like a temperature into the cover. You know, like that album feels cold, and that cover looks cold. Which I think is a very fair and real point, but I really only said to transition to a funny thing about 12 years ago when Mike and I'll continue with the name dropping. 12 years ago when Mike and I toured with Jizza, my favorite memory of that tour, which was incredible, I got to DJ for Jizza too. It was unbelievable. Like a month before the tour, the PR guy comes up to me and says, "Hey man, I want to ask you something about the tour." And I'm thinking, they're not going to bring me. They're going to make Mike use Jizza's DJ. You know, this sucks. Wu-Tang's my religion. I might as well kill myself. And he's like, "Hey, Jizza's thinking about not bringing a DJ. Would you mind DJing for Jizza too? He'll pay you." I was like, "Oh, dude, I would have paid for that." But yeah, I'll do it.
Right.
But the most enduring memory of that tour was Jizza coming out many mornings and the bus being cold, because Mike loves keeping the bus cold. I don't like the bus that cold, but Jizza coming out and being like, "Yo, it's Chili Willy in this motherfucker, right, Track? It's Chili Willy." And to this day, my daughter says Chili Willy because I say Chili Willy so much. I say Chili Willy all the time. That's just one of my favorite. I should have gotten him to do a drop saying that, you know? Anyways, that album cover's cold.
As far as Jizza drops go, the first project that I really put out when I was a young whippersnapper, I remixed Muggs versus Jizza's album. You know, Muggs had dropped the instrumental, and I redid the whole album with my verses. I basically rapped on every spot that Jizza had a verse. I removed the Jizza verse and put a MidaZ verse, right? So
nice.
redid the cover, put it out, everything, right? And the crown jewel of that project was the fact that a girl that I know had ran into the Jizza in LA. And this is before, like, she didn't know I was working on this album, but she knew I'm a Wu fan. So she had called me to be like, "Yo, I'm with the Jizza right now." And I didn't answer the phone. So she had the Jizza leave me a voicemail.
That's even better, honestly.
Became the intro to the project, right? All right. So fast forward, and it says something like, "Hey, yo, MidaZ, what up? This is Jizza. I'm with so and so and so." And yo, and then he goes into this whole thing like, "Yo, maybe we can link up one day." It's an awesome voicemail. It's phenomenal.
Oh shit.
Yo, it's super dope. So, but here's the funny shit. So I used to do a lot of stuff with Killer Army and shit back in the day, and Wu-Tang came to tour. They toured in Orlando, and I was backstage. I'm with Kinetic Nine and Ray San and some people from Wu-Tang. This is one of the famous Wu-Tang shows where Quentin Tarantino was brought out on stage, and he walked across stage with a hoodie on and all type of shit. So anyway, I have this album, this project. I have physicals of it, and after the show, I'm on the tour bus. I'm on the Wu-Tang tour bus. I'm bugging out. So I'm sitting there, and like, you know, there's there's several buses, but like this particular bus that I'm standing on, you know, this person comes in, this person comes in, this person comes in. They're kind of coming in and out before they head to all the after parties. And I'm talking to Jizza's son, and I'm telling him about it. He's like, yo, put it in. Let me hear it. So put it in, and it starts playing. Now, the way that we produced it, the intro goes, it says the intro, but it also goes, Jizza, MidaZ, Jizza, MidaZ, Jizza, MidaZ. It does that for like a couple seconds. So anyway, Jizza walks in, and Jizza's son is like, hey, yo, this dude remixed your album, and you should hear this shit. Jizza's like, yo, play that. My dumb ass, I hit play from the beginning, which I shouldn't have did. I should have just went to a joint so he could hear the verse. Hit play from the beginning, and it plays, and it goes, Jizza, MidaZ, Jizza, MidaZ, Jizza, MidaZ. And he's sitting there, and he goes, is it gonna fucking keep doing that, or is it gonna do anything else? And I was like, oh yeah, let me skip to the next joint.
Amazing.
And by then I had lost him. He had no interest. He didn't give a fuck and got the fuck off the bus without hearing 30 seconds of the song when I'm actually rapping.
So that's crazy. Right. He got off of his own bus. Like he was like, you know what? I'll just walk. I'll walk to Tampa. I'll walk to the next.
That's how much he didn't like your intro.
It was him. He was like,
he walked back to shower and he's like, I'm good.
Yeah, he was pissed. That didn't work out.
Amazing. That did make me remember you saying Jizza drop, which first of all, I never got myself a Jizza DJ drop, which is nuts. And I'm not sure I even like processed that till just now. But the best drop I did get was I got him to send my wife a birthday shout out video that he did outside of the bus, like brushing his teeth, like toothbrush, like in his hand with like mountains in the back in like Arizona or something. I got to go dig that up now.
Oh, that's fine.
So, yo, what's up, Camille? Happy birthday. Just toothbrush in the hand. Incredible.
Dental Great health guy. Is important. Always brush your teeth. Yeah. Shout out to the Jizza. MidaZ, you're up next. What are you drafting?
All right. Let's go to, I did best album the first time around. I'm going to follow up on feature. And, you know, Meth One Shadowboxing is a good one. I'm gonna take it away from the Wu. And there's a couple of really dope Wu-Tang situations I can still go on, but Nas on Eye for an Eye.
Damn it.
Nas on Eye for an Eye. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that was my number one non-Wu-Tang pick.
from a MidaZ the BEAST has 10,000 theories standpoint, I'm a firm believer that 96
RZA wrote the verse.
Nas, huh? What he says, flatter.
RZA wrote the verse.
RZA wrote that out.
Yeah.
96 Nas, in my opinion, is the greatest rapper of all time. Specifically, 96 Nas, right? Which 96 Nas is 96 Nas off of all raps he wrote in 95. So therefore, 95 Nas is the greatest rapper of all time, in my opinion. And the way that yeah, you know. But hey, if the album comes out in 96, you wrote the raps in 95. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Is this what they mean when they talk about supreme mathematics? Like, I don't know. Is that what this?
The way that this dude, the mastery over technique and style and everything. If there were 10 categories that you would have of an MC, whatever they were, Nas would score high points in them in that era. Like, he was just phenomenal. So that verse is crazy. There's a amazing guest verse by Ray on that song too, but Nas goes extra stupid on that joint, and that's my pick for feature.
It's great. Honestly, I think every feature on that album is also pretty fucking spectacular. There's no dead weight on that record.
When did It Was Written come out? Wasn't it like the summer of 96 though? I know it was
June or July.
it wasn't like an early '96.
It was not.
No.
Okay,
No.
so
Same day as Stakes is High.
Maybe recorded a little bit in '96 too. You know,
I
July-
doubt it, though,
July
because
2nd.
dudes had to turn in
July
their records.
2nd. So
Dudes
that
had
was
to turn in their records mad early back then and shit. You
That
know what
is
I
true.
mean? Like you wasn't getting no fast turnaround time.
a little bit of
I
'96
was
recorded.
listening to this Cannabis interview, bro, and Cannabis was like, yo, all those verses that you heard in 97, 98, I wrote them in 92. I was like, get the whole fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? But like, yo, like, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers
Well-
wasn't turning around verses that quick.
Well, all the verses on, I believe it's all the verses on Return to the 36 Chamber. Didn't Jizza write them in like 1989?
In like 80, in the 80s. Yeah. In the 80s.
All like old routines. See, that is a good theory that it was RZA and Jizza who were writing all of those verses. That has been substantiated. Eye for an Eye is a great pick for the verse. Jason, what do you got up for your next pick?
You know, I'm gonna piggyback with the best feature
Okay.
again, and I feel like we're only talking about either one group or one rapper here. So I'm gonna give you the album it's on. See that top right?
Whoop.
And it's
All right.
Nas on Verbal Intercourse.
Nas on Verbal Intercourse, which
That was my pick. Yeah,
That was my other
Sorry.
pick.
Had that too.
Sorry, guys.
That was the source quotable that month.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised you didn't pick that first, MidaZ. Like when I think about the great Nas feature verses, Verbal Intercourse to me actually is like, I think further ahead than Eye for an Eye, to be honest.
There's
agree.
another Nas verse that I was thinking about too. So that's funny because I think there's 3 great Nas verses in 95.
Well, don't say the third yet.
I'm not going to say it.
Jason, you have further thoughts on Verbal Intercourse?
You know what it, besides everything about the song, the fact that it was such a woo feeling album, but then Nas came on and it kind of like separated it. But then you're like, oh shit, this is Nas. And like that was like the beginning of maybe Nas Escobar before we got him with, you know, Tone and Poke, but that was the quintessential Nas that everybody had loved the year prior. So I think it stood out, and I happen to think it's the best guest verse of the year, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say.
I actually, you know what's funny? I do love that verse, and I do not like Nas Escobar Nas. Like we've talked about this before with MidaZ. Like I am not of the It Was Written is the better Nas album like contingency. To me, like Illmatic is the pinnacle. I know that I'm stuck in 1994, but like that's just how I feel. But despite my biases against that, I really like the Verbal Intercourse guest verse. I'm pissed now that I can't take it because like you guys took shadowboxing and now Verbal Intercourse. I created like a contingency list. But yeah.
You know what? Never mind. I was going to say I think technically I said shadowboxing was my pick for verse of the year.
Right.
But I do want to switch it to guest verse of the year because I'm running out of my choices for guest verse of the year.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about. Yeah, you got it. You got deep.
Well,
but yeah,
the thing about Nas Escobar to me, and why I'm so big on Nas in 95, 96, whatever you want to call it, is I don't necessarily think, you know, that, and I know we've had these conversations before, but I don't necessarily think that It Was Written as a better record than Illmatic. Illmatic's the God album. That's why we called our thing Making Illmatic. But I think Nas was rapping better on It Was Written, in my opinion. I think him rapping words is better on that album. That doesn't make the songs better. It doesn't make the album better. But just technically a guy writing raps, he's like when you listen to it's the difference between, in my opinion, like, and not this drastic, let me be clear, but it's the difference between Method Man's written words in 2025 and Method Man's written words in 1995. Like, he's rapping way better in 2025 than he ever did in 95 from a technical writing standpoint. Well, I feel like Nas by the time he hit 96, on paper. But I feel like Nas in 90, if you had the guy from It Was Written, like technique wise and skill wise on Illmatic, it'd be even more ridiculous of an album. Because by then he was writing on a god level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess I can see it, you know. But I don't read rap albums. I listen to them. I mean,
Well, no, but that's part of it. Like even from a delivery, everything. Like from a rapping standpoint, I just feel like he was a perfect rapper by the time his second. And how could you not be? You got to get better at rapping by the time you do the next album. Like, what are we talking about?
But he was so advanced, like on Memory Lane and One Love and New York State of Mind. I mean, he's pretty much rapping like, you know, like. But I get what you're saying. As you progress, you get more mature. You hone your skills. So I totally agree with you. But I think he was
already phenomenal.
He was pretty special in '94.
If I'm saying in '96 he was a 10, in '94 he was a 9.91. You know what I'm saying? Like he was still fucking amazing, but I just feel like he was special by that.
Hashtag numbers. I've already proven that I don't understand how draft episodes work. Does Jason go again, or like just? Okay, he does. Awesome, great, cool. Yeah.
What have
Rob? Don't edit this out. Actually, can you repeat it twice, like a Nas or MidaZ? Just have me say that uncertainty just over and over again. All right, Jason, what do you got?
All right, so I'm gonna go. I guess I'll go back to best album cover. And I feel
I'm
like
interested in what you're gonna say, Jason, because my list was 2 albums long, and we already said that. So now I'm real interested.
Liquid Swords was taken, and only 36 Chambers was taken. So
yes,
Return of the 36 Chambers.
Yes.
My number one, which I'm glad hasn't been taken.
Oh wow,
is Cuban Links. But I'll tell you why. It's not like it is as artistic as Liquid Swords. It's that, like you had said, it was like a movie. It was Scorsese on wax. And I'm a huge Danny Hastings fan, and I think the image that it captured and everything that purple tape represented has stuck with me, and that's why I have it framed on my wall. As you can see right up there, it is. Ray and Ghost were like McGuire and Canseco, and I don't know if you guys get that reference because I'm an '80s baby, but like there was no two cooler guys in like '95 than those guys.
Right.
Ray and
How old
Ghost.
do you think we are?
I don't know. I'm trying to give you guys the benefit of the doubt. I know he was like 40, so like 95 was like his coming of age. So
yeah, for sure.
You know, but and I hate to keep going back to it. We should just call this the Woo episode, really, at this point, right? But for me, Cuban Links is that album that defines 1995.
Yeah, I would agree. How much, well, I'll ask about this when we get to the next person who talks about this album's going to come up. So I got a question, but go ahead.
All right, well, MidaZ, you're up next. What's your pick?
All right, so I'm going to go to let's see, we got best beat, we got feature, we got producer, we got album cover, got MC. Got MC, right? Nobody's done MC yet, right?
Right.
No.
Correct.
All right, I'm going to fuck y'all up. MC of 1995. And this is, hopefully, I'm going to pick my number one pick, and I know that I'm going to get my second pick, because I know y'all ain't going to pick my second pick, so I'm good. Prodigy is the MC of 95. In my opinion. And I'm so excited to have him as my number one draft pick. Prodigy on the Infamous. I mean, how many times has his rhymes been sampled for the rest of our lives on every album known to man? Like quotables forever on every song. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just in such rare form on that record. And when you see how the whole of his career plays out, like because he metamorphs after the second album, he starts rapping different, right? And I love that version of Prodigy too. Or, maybe like after the third album, let's say. But I love that version of Prodigy too, but you don't get a lot of this version of Prodigy because from Murder Music, from after Murder Music on, he's rapping different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like the Prodigy that we got on the Infamous is a jewel. And yeah, to me he was the best. He was at the top of the food chain, and the album that he rapped, the album proved that, because the Infamous is phenomenal, and the beats are crazy, but it's largely due to how amazing Prodigy was.
MidaZ, do you kind of feel the same way about Prodigy on Hell on Earth like you do Nas on It Was Written?
No, because I don't think Prodigy on Hell on Earth is that different from Prodigy on Infamous, in my opinion.
Okay.
I feel like but here's what I do feel on that same point. All of the rappers in Wu-Tang were 30 times better by Forever than they were on 36 Chambers. I feel like they advanced a lot from 36 Chambers. Like Ghostface on 36 Chambers is not even close to what Ghostface was on Forever. It's not even.
He cheated.
It's not even a debate.
He cheated. He not only had Iron Man, but he was sneaking in practice on Cuban Links. It wasn't fair. He had an unfair advantage. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. As much as this is like the unofficial Wu-Tang episode, the Infamous is a much more important album for me than all of those, and Prodigy is a huge part of that. Yeah, even though he wasn't, I don't think he did a lot of features in 1995. Like, I think really we're basing this mostly on the Mobb Deep
I
album,
Shot Ya
right?
was a pretty good Prodigy feature.
Oh
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's largely based on his work on the Mobb Deep album. So yeah, I'm not mad at that pick. All right, Trackstar, you're up.
All right. Best. I did album cover. I did best. So wait, was Shadowbox my verse or my guest verse?
You said that as your verse. Yeah,
it's
you
my
said
verse.
that as your
Okay.
verse. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with. I mean, these are personal picks, right? This isn't gospel. And I think overall,
You're gonna
MC,
be
I want
judged
to
by
say,
this for the rest of your life.
yeah. I know.
Kill my guy, a new DJ right now.
Yeah.
Craigslist looking for a new DJ. What could taste?
I think I'm gonna go overall MC, and I'm gonna go Big L.
Woo.
I mean, L on Lifestyles is one of my favorite rappers ever. I mean, I'm sure you can make a case that a few people had better years overall. I mean, in the big picture, no pun intended. But hey, I've got the big picture.
Hey, there it is.
The big picture. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Big L as overall MC. I mean, it's just who's more fun to listen to rap punchlines, and without Big L in 1995, we wouldn't have the Beavis Butthead line.
One of the great rap lines of all time.
Do you feel? I feel like this is the right group to talk about this with. Like, there are so many artists that are rediscovered or passed on, through like to new generations because either they're still putting out work or the work is getting rediscovered. I feel like Big L is becoming a little bit more fossilized in that way, where like I don't know if younger generations are necessarily latching on. This isn't a diss at all because I'm saying that it's sort of tragic, but like, you look at, there are other artists who clearly had their lives cut short and like they still were able to have more longevity. Why do you think that sort of is the case with Big L, that there's just it's not? You guys feel that like there's not necessarily the same transfer?
I don't disagree. I mean, certainly amongst the dead bigs, he's the least heralded. I mean, he never had a huge hit. I think is probably the difference maker is. He never broke through to casuals in any way, shape, or form at any point. Like,
right?
What's his biggest pop culture moment? Ebonics,
I was
on Fat Beats.
Too. Like, I came up. A big part of my education in the shit was the '90s mixtapes, right? So like, I was all over Clue tapes and the doo-wop tapes and the Lazy K tapes and the Ron G tapes and all of those tapes. And there wasn't no Big L on none of those tapes, to be honest. He wasn't Big L. This album wasn't really a thing until the second album came out, and now you're doing your going back homework. You know what I'm saying? So like he wasn't really, he was just getting going really by that second album time when he was murdered. So I think he never had, not just that he didn't have a hit, but he never had the album. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have the album to have that footprint at the time. But he's amazing as an MC.
I think he had like the respect from the top tier rappers. You know, like when he, let's be honest, like that Stretch and Bob freestyle, like he shitted on Jay. Like when you think about that, like he was the star of that freestyle.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was always that stigma that followed him, and the fact that he was rumored to be signing to Rockefeller before he died. And it's always like the what if, you know, but like before people gravitated towards pun, there was Big L. Like Big L was that guy. And I think it's the what if. You didn't know how big he could be, but because he had the charisma, he had the looks, he had the voice, he had everything. He had the support by, you know, from Lord Finesse to like everybody that was championing Big L. So it's unfortunate, but
yeah. All right, I'm up. I feel like all my picks are getting plucked in the best guest feature. So I'm gonna hop in with this. It was a little bit lower on my list, but now that I think about it, it's amazing, and I'm happy to throw some inclusion on here. My pick for best guest feature, guest verse is Andre 3000 on Thought Process.
Great pick.
Trackstar has left the building. But hey, great minds think alike,
Sean.
bro. Great minds think alike. Look,
how dare
you? Yeah, he's the Goody Mob album overall, I think, gets overlooked a lot when we're talking about 1995. You want to talk about like setting the stage, setting the sound, and really like, you know, being one of the first, for a lot of us, the first time we were hearing, you know, hip hop coming out of this region. But, you know, Andre 3000 doesn't miss on the guest verses. I have several compilations that DJs and just MP3 collectors and hoarders have put together of Andre 3000 guest verse compilations. They're all amazing. Like that, and that's why, look, we've been arguing on the internet about this forever. They're like, oh, well, Andre 3000 can't be a GOAT because he's part of a group. It's like he kills every guest verse that he's ever done.
That's so stupid.
I hate
think that's
it. I
the
hate
stupidest
it.
thing too. I think it's the dumbest argument.
Now RZA's not a good producer is the second dumbest theory anyone's proposed.
I think that's such a dumb argument. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
So Thought Process, you know, it was.
I don't know if he qualifies as a GOAT flautist, you know, but rapping wise, absolutely, we're there.
What kind of dumb shit is that? Like, well, you know, he doesn't have a classic album. It's like, no, he has 5. Like, fuck are we talking about? Like,
yeah, it. Sorry, I didn't mean to invoke the ire of towards idiots who are not on this call that we're doing right now. But yeah, fuck you. Yeah, it's like the beginning to a Mobb Deep album. You know, just us like cursing at people who unnamed flagrants. But yeah, no, I love Thought Process. I love all of the features from this era. 3 Stacks is the GOAT, like controversial statement, but this is my pick, and I'm sticking with it.
Well, now you got to go again.
Which I know now is part of the rules. All right, I'm gonna hop into, we'll say, best verse. All right, I'm going to switch things up because, you know what, I want to create a little bit more variety here, and there are other picks that I had, but they're artists we've already talked about. Best verse, I'm going to say, Junior Mafia's Get Money, Biggie's verse on Get Money is, so you have it?
Is on my list. You bastard.
Yeah. There's others that I might actually enjoy just as much, but if you just think about, like, we were talking earlier about how Method Man was so great at creating like hooks even just within a verse. There's so many like things from this verse that, whether it's from being reused by other artists, reused by him on later things, or just the fact that it endures, like the Junior Mafia stuff kind of gets brushed under the rug a little bit, I think, when you talk about like the legacy of Biggie. Like, a lot of people don't necessarily even consider that, but the Get Money verse is great. Like, it's
Crazy.
To me, it's
crazy.
And again, I don't want to like use it as a diss term, but like, it's like pop rap in the best way possible. That it's got hooks. It's tangible. It's something that you can like, memorize, and it rings out. Like, that's my pick. Notorious B.I.G. Get Money, best verse of 1995.
Solid pick.
Play Nintendo with Caesar Leo. He goes crazy on that verse, and then what's even wilder is like when you pair that verse with what he's talking about and who he's talking about and the video, it's insane. Like, it feeds into all the like wild energy and tension of the 90s in a way. And it's not then the fact that it gets that it's dead smack in the middle of controversy. You know what I'm saying? Like that song it's crazy. Like, that joint is, and Big. I wasn't so big into Big as a youth, but
Sustained.
Thank you. But I will tell you that because like over the last couple of years, even I've kind of been like doing more of my Biggie Smalls homework and trying to go, because like I was like, I gotta understand. I totally believe that there's artists that you could just miss the boat on, like like I always tell Sean, like I kind of missed the boat on Tribe Called Quest. Like, I kind of missed the boat. Like, by the time I'm into hip hop, that's not cool music. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I had to go back, but I missed the boat on what made y'all love it the way that y'all love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can respect it for what it is. I just missed the boat. I feel like with Big, I was just over here. And not that I don't like it. I just missed the boat. So as I've been going back and doing my Big homework and just trying to understand what makes Big so amazing, like verses like that, that's what makes Big so amazing. Like, his timing, his control over his delivery, you know what I'm saying? And then of course his pen, like that Junior Mafia record, he writes like the whole record.
Right.
He writes
so
everybody's
your takeaway is turns out that Biggie Smalls guy is like actually pretty good. He's
the illest, Big? Apparently.
That's the rumor.
All right. Yeah, we'll go with it. So Trackstar, you're up.
Oh man, you guys really killed me on this guest verse thing just because I'm trying to avoid another Wu-Tang choice.
All right, there's 15 albums that year.
Yeah, my next like 15 choices are Wu-Tang verses, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna skip that one for now because I'm still trying to. By the way, I figured out your other Nas verse. I was like, what is his third Nas? I know your other Nas guest verse now. I'm not gonna use that one. Although it's a very good choice. So I've got guest verse, producer, beat, and album.
Yeah.
Left. Again, I'm trying to let you guys pick the Wu-Tang stuff so I can pick something more interesting and not just pick another Wu-Tang situation.
Can we strip Wu from like our options and make it more interesting and like go obscure? Like, no Wu or Nas is allowed to be mentioned anymore in the show.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I'm with it.
We're calling audibles. We'll do it. Fuck it. And it can't contain the letter. It can't contain the letter E either, just to make it fun.
Well, no, now that you say that, now I'm like, wait, but I did have like one. I am going to make it interesting, and I'm going to do producer. And this is definitely going to be a personal pick that wouldn't probably be necessarily any of you guys' top four. But I can't put this album as best album because the other albums are just... There's too many good albums for, even though it's one of my favorite albums of all time. But producer of 95, since RZA's not an option, I'm gonna say Muggs because I love Temple of Boom, but I want to give. Sorry, I changed tracks. That's not the album. No, that album.
Where I thought you were going at all.
That album qualifies for everything I just said too, but I actually shifted tracks in my mind accidentally because both of these options are right here for me. But I was thinking Muggs, DJ Unique on East 1999 Eternal.
Wow.
I'm from the Midwest. East 1999 Eternal is up there for me. Like maybe top 20 hip hop album of all time for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Them calling me Mr. Bill Collector.
Oh my God! Every song, every beat. You want to talk about the temperature of Liquid Swords? East 1999 has a temperature like that. It's a universe within itself. So yeah, sorry, I was jumping back and forth between Muggs and Unique in my head. I'm gonna go with Unique just because I can't justify East 1999 as album over Liquid Swords, Goody Mob, etc. as other choices. But I want to go with Unique with a huge shout out to Muggs as Temple of Boom, and also assuming that one of you guys is going to say Havoc. So I didn't want to take Havoc because I'm assuming someone else is going to, but I want to throw Unique in there, for some Midwest and just to shake it up a little bit because I love that album. The most I've ever spent on a record is buying a copy East 1999
for how much?
A few years ago at a record store. I think it was $110.
Ooh.
Wow.
But I didn't own it, and I was just like, it's stupid for me not. I have to own this record, and I hadn't seen a copy of it before. So
there's going to be a lot of people who listen to this, and I think there's a lot of people that you've probably encountered in your travels who probably are not giving that album and Unique his due as a producer. So state your case. Let people understand why this guy is like probably very underrated in terms of like the space of hip hop producers in this time.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest. And this is funny, and I mean, there's certain artists I've got like this, and I'm sure you guys maybe do too. That album means so much to me, and after that, none of Bones' catalog really moves me like that at all.
Yo, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that album, again, I can't say enough about it. It's the atmosphere that's built on there. It's a perfect, sinister bed. You know, if you're gonna have dudes basically doing like doo-wop harmonizing. Doing gangster shit, you need a very specific type of like sinister melodic beat behind them to like make it fit.
What was the beat?
Creeping on a Come Up.
That was fire too.
Yeah, that was great too. But yeah, East 99 is my shit.
That's the one. Yeah. So throwing it back to MidaZ. MidaZ, what's your next pick?
Which category? Do you know what categories I already hit?
Yes, because I'm writing it down because I'm a producer when I don't have my producer. Yeah. You still need beat, verse, producer, and album cover.
All right, I'm gonna go producer. And I'm gonna go similar to my brother Trackstar in a completely. I'm gonna go so different that I don't even know what producer I'm about to be talking about because I don't know who the fuck. But whoever did all of the beats on Onyx, All We Got Is Us.
That's where I thought you were going. When you said whoever did all the beats, I was like, the first thing that popped in my head for some reason. Yeah. No, that's another one with a temperature. That's right up there with Liquid Swords and East 1999 and Temples of Boom. Why I keep saying that.
Bro,
it's a lot of Fredro Stars. I think Fredro Star did most of it.
There's a lot of controversy with the production on that album.
Oh, that's right.
Because Aguilar says that he did all the beats.
Oh, 90s disputes.
You know what I randomly... two skits from 1995 that I think about all the time, inexplicably. One is I Murder You.
Yep.
On All We Got Is Us.
I Murder You!
Yep. And the other one, which I honestly have to believe, I think about this piece of recording more than any other human because I don't understand why it's in my head all the time, is the Double I skit on Poverty's Paradise.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
drop it in here.
Was that
Naughty? Yeah. And it's just them singing double I, double I, double I. It's just that times like 8. That's just the skit. With a little piano or like tinkling.
I gotta go back.
Why? Why do I think about that all the time. Like, I don't even need to see two eyes. If I see one eye, I might think, oh, what if there was another one? And start singing that song. It's inexplicable.
Yo, I believe Fredro did. I actually think there was a more recent interview where Fredro was like, they asked Fredro about it, and he's like, "Yo, I did the beats." Like, Aguilar, I think was, from what I think, don't aggregators, if there's any, don't stress me out. But I think Aguilar probably had a lot to do with the mixing of that record and stuff. But Fredro pretty much did most of the production on that album. Maybe not all of it, but most of it. The beats on that album are insane.
Unbelievable. It's one of my favorite albums ever.
Purse Snatches is crazy.
Yeah.
I Murder You is crazy. Last Days is crazy.
Last Days is crazy.
There's 8 crazy beats on that album. You know what I'm saying? Or 10 crazy beats. This Is the Way We Walk in New York. Crazy. You know what I'm saying?
I was thinking about Evil Street's Method Man for the guest verse
remix,
too.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you ever heard the Purse Snatchers remix?
Smooth the Hustler and
Trigger the Gambler?
I don't know if I have.
Yo, so it's the same Purse Snatchers beat, but faster, with Smooth and Trigger on it. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
Like, it's phenomenal. And Smooth, you know what? Smooth dropped in 95, didn't he?
96 was his album.
96.
But he did drop a single, which is Hustlin', and the B-side was Broken Language.
Hustler. Was it that one?
No, you're thinking Hustler's Theme.
Hustler's Theme. Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Yes. There was a mixtape. There was a Lazy K tape that had Hustler's Theme over Rainy Days. And it was such a fire blend. Like, that blend... I've looked for that blend forever since then, because I actually like that blend more than I like the original Rainy Days now. Like, I just think that's the song, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. But yeah, gotta give love to that All We Got Is Us album. I feel like that's one of the criminally slept on albums in hip hop.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them in 95 too. I just want random. I just want to shout out World Ultimate by the Nons. We don't have to talk about it at length. I love that album so much.
Mixtapes.
We can go back to Onyx. Yes. Also, with the Onyx thing, I don't know if this helps or not, but just doing a little bit of detective work while you were speaking. On the Wikipedia page, it doesn't mention Aguilar under the credits, but the Wikipedia page for that album is listed under categories: Onyx albums, 1995 albums, and albums produced by Aguilar.
Oh man!
So.
Aguilar's Revenge.
Even Wikipedia is confused, you know?
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. And I felt like there was somebody else that produced on that record too, but it's so cohesive. Like, it sounds like it could have just been one
so cohesive
the whole way through.
Yeah.
Hey, cutting in here real quick to let you know that there are portions of this episode that can't be found anywhere other than the Questions Patreon. Join the Questions Patreon. $5 a month, patreon.com/thequestionshiphop, or hit the link in the show notes. Jason, you are up. What is your next pick?
I'm old. Can you tell me what I have not touched yet?
Yeah, you need album, beat, verse, and MC.
Album, beat, okay. Beat. Beat. So we're staying away from anything Woo related.
You created this rule.
I know. I think it's a good rule. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to stay away from a premiere, because I feel like that's easy for me.
I like your restraint, my brother.
Best beat of 95. There's my favorite and my best. I don't want to give my favorite because one of you guys may take it. I'm going to, you know what? Let's go obscure. I'm going to say Milkbone's Keep It Real is the best beat of 95. Which is something probably none of you guys would expect.
No, I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Nope.
Yeah, what did you just say?
Milk Bones Keep It Real.
Okay. I didn't make out Milk Bones. Okay, that's a good beat.
You may know it by Freddie Gibbs redoing that song, but Keep It Real was, it was probably one of the most used for like Stretch and Bob, like freestyles and stuff like that. But that's up there. I wanted it to be a little different than the previous picks.
Well, you're eliminating a lot of like the Mount Rushmore picks in terms of contributors here. So I like exploring some of the other
Okay.
What
routes.
is it
Yeah.
about that joint?
Uh, do you know the song? You
No,
don't
I
know
don't.
that song?
Nah, I don't. That's what I'm
Yeah, but
saying.
Insert
if
like
you hear the beat, you will.
yeah, insert producer. Like you gotta insert that clip. I mean, it is
Please
not the
don't talk to my
rap.
producer. He's my producer, so it's just like kind of weird. Like I gotta
Can we
establish some.
insert? It's not so much the raps. The beat is hypnotic to say the least.
I mean, it's Big L and J.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm just saying.
common,
So MidaZ knows what beat it is. It's the beat that Big L and J
freestyle
freestyled on.
too.
Yeah.
The minute you hear it, you'll be like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking."
I just pulled it up right quick so I can hear it. I do know it. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
Crazy.
not my favorite beat, but I think it's
Yo, but you know what's funny about that you picked that is that there were so many songs because again, no internet. Like there were so many songs because I was a mixtape kid that I heard the beats to and never heard the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that you're just like, yeah, I don't even know what the fuck song that's even from. There were so many of those joints, and that's one of them. I never knew.
Yeah, that was a '95 single.
Good pick. You got another one up now. So what's your next?
I did producer. Let's. What I need to do? Best album.
Album, verse, and MC overall.
All right, album. I'm gonna go another left field. So let's go with best album, and it's probably a little bit more my favorite, but I'm gonna say best album because we're not doing booze. I'm gonna go with Tupac, "Me Against the World."
Oh wow!
So I'm a huge Pac fan, and I happen to think that's his best body of work is that album, and that was pre Death Row, and that was actually when he was in Clinton Correctional, and I think Moby killed that album. Easy
Moby killed that album.
Yeah, he was this. That's like one of the most underrated producers of all time. Easy Moby.
Yeah,
hands down.
So it just does something for me. '95 was a special year. It was I think I was a junior in high school or something like that. And that album resonated, meant so much to me. So I'm gonna go with that for my pick.
Damn, bro. Temptations, crazy. Shed So Many Tears, crazy. Dear Mama, crazy. Death Around the Corner, crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
that was Chuck G. But even like the deep album cut, like Lord Knows, it was a great song. Old School, I mean, you cannot be a hip hop head and not love the fact that he was so appreciative of everything that we grew up listening to from De La to, you know. But yeah, so I'm going with Me Against the World as my pick.
I love how Old School is about like 3 years ago. Like, yo, Old School? Let me tell you about the Old School. The Old School is like last year. Yeah, I love that. I love that album. I'm a Tupac. I'm a East Coast Tupac apologist. So
same.
A lot of my bias prevented me from really getting into a lot of his stuff for a while. Honestly, moving to LA and driving around and like I was like, I'm gonna listen to famous Los Angeles hip hop artists now that I live here. Really opened me up on a lot of Pac. But I don't have like the nostalgia for this record because it's not one that I was really playing at that time. But I'm curious to know for you, like it being on the ground in those moments, and the sounds would evolve so much with the later material. Like, what was your experience like as he did go Death Row and like this, became huge, but maybe wasn't necessarily on the same tip consistently as he was on this album?
Yeah, I happen to, I like I said, the reason why I think this is his best body of work is he wasn't Death Row. I mean, that was a different Pac. Kind of like I like Illmatic over It Was Written. It was before Escobar. I feel like '95 was the year before things changed and got jiggy and a little tainted and more commercialized. And I feel like it was almost the last pure year in hip hop, if that makes sense. And that's one of the reasons why I love Me Against the World, because it's very personal, intimate, and like I said, it doesn't have that death row influence. You know, it wasn't him being this crazy thug that we knew him to be once he got out of jail. So for me, it hit different. I didn't love Death Row Tupac, but I definitely liked a lot of the music he made, but just not the same as early Tupac.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally. MidaZ, you're up. What do you got?
All right, I'm gonna go to album cover because I didn't pick an album cover yet, and I'm gonna go with The Shining.
Oh, that's a great pick.
As my album cover. You know, I know it's based on a, what is it, maybe like a Funkadelic record? I know it's based on, it's a copy of a 70s record that they played.
Yeah.
Is it a jazz record?
I think it's a jazz record. I think it's a jazz record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Blue Note or something like that.
Yeah. It's but it's so masterfully done. The eye in the middle, you know what I'm saying? And for the longest time, because I never really in that era had a physical copy of the album in my hands. I never realized that was all of their heads looking down like that. I just thought that was like some fucking cutout. You know what I'm saying?
It's a homage to Roy Ayers.
Roy Ayers, there it is.
Yeah. So, and then of course it gives me an excuse to talk about The Shining right quick, which I think is the best boot camp album ever. I have The Shining by a very small margin over Into the Stage. And then I have Into the Stage by a little more of a margin over Helter Skelter. So that's my three-man weave on that. But The Shining is another album that has such an atmosphere to it. And you talk about an album outside of Liquid Swords that feel like a certain time of the year. The Shining got that whole winter vibe tucked right into it too, with the 40 Belows and all of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that cover is iconic for me.
Yeah. It's like it's another one of those like there's only one. You know, like I haven't really seen, which makes sense because I didn't realize that I didn't remember that it was like a direct homage.
Because they did it from off of somebody else. But there's only one since then.
Yes, exactly. Which is ironic because it's a piece of a puzzle. You'd think that there'd be others that it would connect to, keeping with the puzzle motif. But I digress. Yeah, no, that's a great pick. Trackstar, what do you got up?
I lied a few minutes ago. I'm going to go with Cypress Hill 3 Temples of Boom for my album pick.
Awesome.
Because, and I think this fully justifies the pick, Temples of Boom came out on October 31st, and I started smoking weed in June of 1995. So that was a big one for me. I do. Well, I do actually, because it was because it was the last day of 8th grade. So some years later, I got curious, went back and found a school calendar so I could pinpoint the date. So yes, it's June 10th, 1995, coming up on 30 years. I never stopped.
I enjoy that you had the self-discipline to be like, okay, I'm going to wait till the end. Like, you know what, young Trackstar, talking to yourself, you did a really good job in middle school. You deserve a little treat. We're going to, crack this open, enjoy the rest of your summer. All right. So I'm up. What do I got left here? Best album. I mean, man, we've talked about a lot of these already. I did have Cuban Links on mine, but that's been taken. You know what I'm going to go for? No, you know what? I know we've talked. Is Mobb Deep off the table or is Nas off the table? I didn't think we said Mobb.
Off the table, but Nas dropped in '95. So you're.
Yeah, I'm going with The Infamous. The Infamous is an incredible album. I just recently, last year, at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, they've been doing these RPM listening sessions where the Beat Junkies and people who were involved in the album come and they talk about it, and I've been co-hosting them. And we had Big Twin, and we had Scott Free showed up, and just talking about that and revisiting the album. I've listened to the album so many times, but, you know, like just to revisit it through that lens, it's just a perfect album to me. And I'll be perfectly honest, you know, it is the only Mobb Deep album that exists to me. I've listened to all of them since, and you know, they're
the way that Trackstar just judged you, it completely was like, yo, I thought I knew this guy. Like, I don't fucking know this guy.
I mean, you got at least like Hell on Earth, man.
Right? Like, what are we talking about?
Like, Infamous can be your favorite, but Hell on Earth exists. At a bare minimum, it exists.
It exists, but I just know a lot of people who like, oh, Murder Music is like, you know, like that's, you know, like neck and neck, and like to me, it was never close. It was never close. Like,
yeah,
I have my preference there, and there's so many reasons why.
No, I don't even think Hell on Earth is close to as good as the Infamous, but it still is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah, I'll give you that. But we're talking about the Infamous, goddammit.
Yeah,
I mean, the songs, the production. Again, we talked about Prodigy and Havoc too. You know, like they both.
Havoc was barred out on that album too. Fact.
Yeah, it was never like, oh, turn the volume down during the Havoc verse, and then, you know, like turn it back up for the Prodigy. Like, oh, we got to talk about this. Like they're both great. Infamous is my pick.
The best, unless I'm forgetting something, the best acapella on a hip hop album of all time.
Yeah, it's
from Big Noid.
Big Noid. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fucking parole officers.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Noid as well.
Big Noid could have been in the best feature conversation too, because
thought about it.
I'm still searching for mine. Hold on. He might still be.
You know what I mean? Like that was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, big shout out to Big Noid. He was also part of the event. It's so crazy to like meet these guys, and like they're, you know, some of it, like obviously they're all talented. Like Mobb Deep, like was the flag bearers of, you know, that movement in their specific camp. But to hear these guys just talk about the stories and being there as these songs were recorded, and like sharing these anecdotes about like rocking with Prodigy and connecting with Q-Tip, you know what I mean? Like for the making of the album, and Q-Tip was such a big force in the mixing of that album, and, you know, some of the production, like it's a classic to me, undisputed. So I got another pick up right now. I've got two categories left, MC and producer. All right, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. For MC, I'm going to go with Black Thought. Now, I think that Black Thought definitely evolved in his style, and I think that Do You Want More as an album is kind of like the outlier in the Roots catalog. His voice changed, his style of writing changed. There's an alternate universe where, you know, Black Thought keeps the jazzier, sort of scat-like, you know, instrumentation voice style. That's not what he wound up doing. Years, you know, performing 300 shows a year and just maturing, like, turned his voice more gravelly, and kind of never revisited the style. But I don't think that 1995 is the best year for Black Thought as an MC. But if you look at that Roots album, like, it's great MCing. He's holding his own, you know, with a group member who is also fucking underrated. Malik B was like, it was always, you know, a sort of bar fest when the two of them got together in terms of rapping ability. But yeah, my vote's going to Black Thought. It's my quintessential OK player pick. And just to mix it up a little bit too.
Not mad at it. No, not mad at that one.
Right,
so it's back to me, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna do beat just to buy myself even more. No, I'm gonna do the guest first thing. We're gonna do the guest first thing. So for guest first, I am gonna go with Nas on Fast Life.
Ooh.
That was the other one.
Yep. No, as soon as it hit me, I was like, okay, good choice. I didn't want to have to pick it, but without going,
respect.
You know, I mean, there's Big Noid on Infamous. The sleeper I almost went with, but I think it's just because I like the album so much. I don't know if it really is the best guest verse. I almost said CL Smooth on Only the Strong Survive on DJ Crush's MISO,
Jeez.
Wow.
which is a deep, too deep cut. You know, I might as well pick World Ultimate for album. But I did consider that one. And another one I thought about was KRS-One on MidaZ, just because it's a fun verse and it's you know, it's a canon to me. But it's not the best one. So Nas on Fast Life is my pick. I also want to shout out Method Man on Dirty Dancing. That's one of my favorite songs ever. The bonus track on Return to the 36 Chambers.
Oh yeah.
I really, really, really like that song, and I really like Method Man on that song. But I already picked Meth on Shadowboxing, and we have got our woo rule, so it's out.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Fucking Jason.
It was for the best.
Everybody.
It was for the best.
I'm picking Milk for God's sakes. I mean, I'm just trying to mix it up a little bit, you know?
I will say that
all right, fuck it. All Balls Don't Bounce. Album of the year. All right, go ahead.
No, I will say that prior to the Woo exclusion, my top pick for MC was going to be ODB, just because I think if you want to talk about style and just like, you know, unimitable, like not able
There's
to be
no
replicated.
album like that album since in any form or fashion. The album is chaos personified on a record.
Now the question is, if you give ODB MC of the year for that album, does Jizzy get a trophy?
Yeah, right.
I heard
No,
Aguilar
also-
produced that album.
Right, yeah. But really RZA. But yeah, I mean, also want to shout out the fact that like we picked 3 guest verses in this draft and 3 of them were Nas, you know, so like
Probably were they his only 3 guest verses of the year?
They
I'm
kind of
pretty
were.
sure.
Was there
Yeah,
another Nas guest verse of 95 that we're not thinking of?
Nah, I think that's
I
it.
don't think so.
95 was filled with like collabos, but I don't know if there was another Nas.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
No, he guested on Do or Die, but he didn't rap.
More Money, More Murder, More Homicide.
Oh, that's true. He was on that. And that was a 95
Oh.
album. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tripping.
In the mahogany, something raindrops.
Yeah.
That was in the raindrops.
Oh, I'm making it that actually. How did I miss that? I'm going with that one. I'm switching it. Give me my money. I like that verse better. How did I miss that? Jesus.
That's funny. All right, so we're gonna switch that up. All right, MidaZ, what's your pick
I think I just still have best beat.
and verse?
All right, so best beat, best verse. All right, for best verse, check this out. I'm gonna go with AZ on Uncut Raw
Okay.
off of Do or Die.
As we all open up Genius.
Yep.
Absolutely. This episode is sponsored by.
From a technical, lyrical, just like if you want to go from as a guy who considers himself MC's MC, me and shout out my big bro Planet Asia. We were talking about this recently, like the way that we listen to rappers rap, being that we write and recite raps, is probably a little bit different, especially from the concept of like we're like quote unquote lyrical MCs or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So like when I'm listening, I'm hearing what you. Oh wow, that's where you put your breath at. That's crazy. Like, oh wow, that's what like it gets. I get real. Just like how some of you guys that are producers will listen to quote unquote, like you listen to a Dylan and be like, did you see what he did right there? Like he went like,
or you listen to a RZA and be like, this is simple bullshit.
He did nothing. What did he even do?
Yeah.
So like AZ from a like dancing on a loop situation, he goes absolutely ape shit on that verse. It's one of the more technically ridiculous 1995 verses, because 95 so many motherfuckers was still just being extra styled out, and the quote unquote like lyrical gymnastic shit wasn't really the thing, and he went crazy on that whole record. But on Uncut Raw, especially as a jump out the gate verse, was on the album, is Crazy. So
and you're calling it verse 1 because I had to choose the shadow boxing verse. So you got to pick which verse.
The first verse.
First
right
verse,
out
okay.
the gate.
Just,
Right out the gate. And because you guys are going to pick this as an honorable mention, I want to throw in 9 Red Rum. The first verse on Red Rum was crazy too. So that was my other one I was looking at. But yeah.
The Uncut Raw, was that the one that was produced? It had like N.O. Joe or something? It had like a...
It was produced by AZ and Big Loose.
Big Loose. Okay. I'm trying to...
Brought to you by Genius.
What's Uncut Raw? I got to listen. I can't place it in my head.
Yeah, you gotta pull that up.
I'm gonna listen to it.
Life is a struggle. That's why niggas I know stay on the juggle. Some hustle the double, others hug you when they mug you. Poverty stricken. They even turn the church kid to sticking. It seems like he just goes crazy. He goes crazy. Fuck police, ain't no remorse for the beast. They lost on the streets. The pistol whip a priest for a cross piece. Some lost chief running through script. Yeah, he goes bananas on that verse. Bananas. So yeah, you got to get into that one.
I can't place. Can you have your producer do an AZ, MidaZ, AZ, MidaZ, AZ, and then throw the beat on that one?
We're going to do that for every pick that MidaZ did in this episode. It's just always going to be MidaZ and whoever the artist is he's talking about.
I mean, you know what Jizza backwards is, right? It's AZ, G. Sorry, guys.
Right quick. He says, this is pure as opium, purified for street players to open them. Space like 3 L's laced with coke in them. Shots awoken them. Fake uniform Jakes approaching them. 6 trips for young cliques and killers coaching them. Like, this verse is so crazy, bro. Like, he raps bananas on that joint. I just got to throw more emphasis on that. Y'all got to get on that. But okay, sorry.
Not to be a stickler, but that's verse 2, so technically.
Yeah, that is verse 2. No, you're right. You're right.
I know you're sitting there like, I hope he closed his Genius tab.
You're right.
I'm sorry, but disqualified. Stricken for the record. Jason, what do you got? You're gonna wrap things up for your picks on this one.
All right, so this is what, best verse?
Yeah, or best MC, whichever you want.
I'll do best first, because we can't touch Woo. So here, guess what? I'm going to go back to AZ. First verse off, Rather Unique.
Okay, see? That's what I'm talking about. We got 2 AZ situations in here for 95.
And I think AZ is like a rapper's rapper. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the same way like Black Thought is, and like that's what AZ is. But the Rather Unique first verse is what stands out to me.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sing it, but I mean, you guys are more than welcome to.
Well, just know that if you do at any point decide to slip into it, we will be fact checking to make sure that you're not stealing from a second or third verse.
That's right.
We do have
standards. Definitely the first verse. I think he something about
all first verse.
Yeah, Trackstar's going to respond to the email thread in like a week and be like, "Hey, so just FYI, it was the just so you're aware."
There's a lot of research to do, you know?
Yeah, it has to be done. Jason, so to round it out, what's your pick for MC?
I said no Woo.
You made your bet, bro.
I would have said Ray. Had he not give him the MVP honors of that year. And
just go ahead and say Gemini the Gifted one. We're good.
Oh man,
Gemini the Gifted one. It was
I love that EP.
Oh man, this is hard. So best overall rapper, is that what it is? The MVP? You said Prodigy, right? Someone said Prodigy.
Yeah,
yeah. So, fuck. 95. No, we can't do
just taunting him. I've
already referenced AZ. I'm not going to give him more love. No, it would be one of the Woo members without a doubt.
I'll remind you that Skilo did drop "I Wish" in '95. I'm just putting it out there.
There is a rapper that you guys are gonna miss that deserves his name to be said here. So I'm gonna wait to see what you say.
But the best,
I've actually got one of those in mind as well. Who I'm like, this guy actually rapped really good, and we haven't hardly mentioned this album. Go ahead.
I mean, there's a lot of rappers that rap really good, but the MVP honors, like the best rapper honors, is
yeah.
I mean, I can't say Little Dap. right? But I mean, he had a great
you
album.
Definitely cannot say Little Dap.
This is tough.
Jason, I will remind you, you had weeks to think of this. So
I know, but I didn't anticipate knocking out all of the Wu members from the equation.
Your own rule.
He made the whole rule.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you possibly have anticipated us doing that to you, you know?
And here's the thing. I've given love to Tupac. I've given love to AZ. So I'm just trying to mix it up so it's not, the same. I could, all right, I'm just going to say something. I don't mean it, but I'm going to say it.
All right.
Lord Finesse.
Ooh, okay.
Lord Finesse.
How much rapping did he do?
Lord Finesse dropped his album, The Awakenings. Or is it
How did I
called The
miss that?
Awakenings?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that had actual facts on there. It was a sick posse.
That wasn't 96?
I think it was 96.
Trackstar.
Yeah, it was 96. It was 96.
On into the email.
All right, you know what?
Fuck you.
G-Rap. I'm gonna go G-Rap on 456.
I mean,
That's a very nice answer.
all right.
Never heard of him.
Was Lord Finesse 96?
Yes.
Yeah, it was February 20th.
Okay.
when I
But
first
it was
started
recorded in
rapping,
95. So by MidaZ's logic,
True.
when I first started rapping, I wanted to rap because my uncles rapped and I didn't know how to rap. So I would, but when I went to school, I was going to middle school in Orlando. They didn't know nothing about none of the shit that I knew about. So I would rap Lord Finesse raps at school like they was mine.
Dog, I used to joke about doing that. That's awesome.
Yo, there was one, so I knew one Lord Finesse verse by heart, right? And I would kick it all the time. And at school, they were like, yo, he's the rapper. And I'm like, yeah, they were like, yo, rap. And I would kick that verse. But see, the problem that I ran into was I didn't have no other verses memorized. So at some point, they were like, yo, so do something else. And I was like, oh, y'all want a different verse? Okay.
Let me run to Best Buy real quick.
Yeah, so that's actually what made me start writing was I was like, I got to have more than this one verse. I just got this one Lord Finesse verse on deck. So, yeah.
They were like, why does MidaZ always refer to himself as Lord Finesse when he does that verse for us? Like, that's weird. I've never heard him ever call himself that. Yeah.
That's bad.
But yeah, so Cool G Rap is a great pick. We've done a Making Illmatic on
with
Cool
Wordsworth.
G Rap. Yeah, with Wordsworth. Obviously, that was a little bit earlier. We were talking about the Wanted Dead or Alive album. But yeah, I mean, like 456 is like, we already talked about Fast Life, but it's definitely a worthy pick, Jason. I'm sorry that we backed you into your own self-made corner.
I
Our
that's
bad.
my fault. That's my bad. My bad.
So now I'm curious now, Midas, because we've all done Best MC right now, right? Yeah. So Midas, who did you have in mind as a nominee?
So this is kind of off to the beaten path a little bit, but no song existed in 1995 than Gangsta's Paradise. So, I remember that song played 50 quadrillion times that year.
Oh, yeah.
Every time the radio came on, Gangsta's Paradise was getting burned.
For sure.
So, like, while he wasn't the quote-unquote best MC of the year, he's the MC of the year because he had the biggest record of the year. And that song rang for how the entire year. Like, it was out of control how much burn that song got that year.
Yeah, I mean, I do pretty much know every word of that song still, probably, even though I haven't.
I thought he was going to say like Shabazz the Disciple or something like that. You said Coolio.
No, because that song got so much burn that year.
Yeah. So the one I was going to say, which this album I mentioned briefly earlier, but I don't feel it gets heralded enough, but definitely the rapping is strong, is Tretch on Poverty's Paradise.
There you go.
I think that'd be a good sleeper pick. Anyways.
Sleeper pick MC is LL.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith had joints. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the thing is, when I think about 95, I can't just think about it from when I was in my backpack bag, but like also like the radio to me factors in because radio was a big part. Like L had the radio on Smash for that entire year.
Yes, but I will counter that my favorite part of all of those LL singles, which I have no relationship to today, but definitely felt more of a connection to then, was never LL. It was either the hooks or the beats or the features.
Fair.
Yeah, like
Fair.
Not to say that he was like a slouch, but I don't know.
So maybe he was A&R of the year.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so MidaZ, you have your final pick for the best beat.
All right, so I have a long list staring in front of me of joints that I picked.
Well, which do you love, and are you for sure?
Yeah, right. Well, I do love this beat, and I'm for sure. Good. I'll actually contend that even if I had the first pick, I would still pick this beat. And this is tough because it's not Shook Ones. I would go with Brooklyn Zoo.
Had it on my list. That was second on my list.
Brooklyn Zoo is bro, you tell me you go out right now, you go to any spot and they drop Brooklyn Zoo, your whole shit is dismantled. You know what I'm saying? As soon as it hits. I
want to hang out where you hang out.
Actually. Next time
I'm trying to think of a single place I could go where you drop that.
next time you're in Orlando, you know what I mean? Hit me up. We'll go hang out a little bit. I'll take you to a spot or two where we do those kinds of things. But bro, Brooklyn Zoo is such a seminal sound when it drops, and it's funny. True Master has such a signature within the Wu-Tang sound. Like I know when I hear a True Master beat, I'm like, oh, that's True Master versus it being RZA. Like
that's amazing. I never developed that at all.
Yeah. No, I can tell. Yeah, I can definitely tell because true beats have a fullness to them that a lot of the RZA beats play in a different space. So yeah, that beats, I think, one of the great beats of all time.
Cool. Jason, what's the ruling here? I think that's a Wu-Tang situation now.
Oh yeah,
after Coolio, he could pick Wu-Tang all day.
I was like very strictly adhering to making sure we enforced this new rule until I just completely forgot about it when MidaZ said Brooklyn Zoo.
Yeah, I did too until right before I said that. I was like, solid pick, bro. Way to go. Wait.
I thought we were out of that.
All right, so Trackstar, what's your pick?
Like their dog.
Yeah, exactly.
So favorite beat. I mean, first of all, my first 30 picks would probably be Wu-Tang beats. Ice Cream was one of the first ones that popped into my head as like, ooh, maybe that would be my pick. And obviously these aren't my pick. The other sleeper, which I recognize is probably not me picking the best beat, but this is just really one of my favorite songs, is Kill a Hill off Temples of Boom. I don't know if that would really be the best beat, but that's one of the beats that makes me happiest.
I like the look at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh man, so dope. But so as far as non-Wu-Tang, I have three in mind right now. I feel like if I say one of them, we're going to have to institute a late no AZ rule too, because he's really dominating these late rounds. But I had Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill is a potential.
Yep.
I thought about I Got 5 on it. That's a really good fucking beat.
I forgot that was that year.
So when you had said Gangsta's Paradise, I immediately thought 5 on It was a bigger song, like overall, and had a bigger impact. Don't you think?
Well, it definitely has a bigger lasting impact.
In hip hop, not commercially. In hip hop, but not pop. Yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, on the last tour, I walked out of my hotel room when we were in Europe somewhere, and the choir was next door. And I could hear them rapping "Gangsta's Paradise" word for word through the door. That one.
I was a big hit. I went to downtown Orlando one night, and I went downtown Orlando one night, and I saw Joey Fatone and fucking one of the other insignificant members of the group, not named Justin Timberlake, performing, and they brought out Coolio and had him do. This was a free concert in the middle of downtown that Joey Fatone was doing, and brought out Coolio, who proceeded to do Gangsta's Paradise with Joey Fatone doing the hook. I seen it with my own eyes. So
I never imagined watching Coolio perform Gangsta's Paradise before, but now I kind of wish I'd seen him do that while I had the chance.
I'm sure
I would
it was
actually
great.
be pretty hyped if that came on.
I'm sure it was fantastic. Yeah.
So I got 5 on it. Probably should be the answer, but I want to go a little left field little left field for my last one. We haven't mentioned this album at all. This is one of my favorite beats ever. I don't even remember if it was a single or anything. I think it might have been, but Showbiz and AG, You Know Now.
Showbiz. I was looking at that album earlier.
Honestly, the intro beat too, the Never Less Than Ill, I really love, but that's just like a loop. But You Know Now by Show and AG, I fucking love that beat. I mean, there's a million good choices.
I'm confusing the original and the Buck Wild remix. I don't know which one is.
I'm gonna play it real quick because I don't remember.
Is the Buck Wild remix the same joint as like the Smith and Wesson?
Let's see. I'm listening. Oh yeah. Not the Buck Wild is the Smith and Wesson sample.
Okay. So then I got you.
Yeah. It's again like kind of like a dark, eerie.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's a good
1995 might be the best year for beats in hip hop history.
Yeah.
We could do a whole nother show, and I can make a case of why 95 was the best year in hip hop.
Yeah.
You talking about period. I'm talking about just beats. You mean period.
I'm not going to argue against you.
The beats is really what makes 95 so amazing.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a list, I don't want to bore you, of all my favorite joints of 95, like beats that we didn't even talk about, but like when you like hear these songs, you're like, that's 95. Like Blaze's Danger, What You Want by Nine. Like these are like anthems. Coolie High, Camp Low, Coolie High.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, just these songs are just.
We didn't talk about albums from the Dog Pound. We didn't talk about Jealous One's Envy at all. We didn't talk about there's so many.
We didn't talk about Master Ace sitting on Chrome either. That was like another
sitting on
that
Chrome.
was a great album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trackstar wants to talk about the bums because he's talking about the.
I almost did.
Yeah.
I almost did.
The
I brought up the nonsense DJ Crush. The bums weren't far behind.
Yeah, no, I figured.
Gemini, the Gifted One, AC Alone.
Jurassic Five's gonna be popping out.
Grand Pooba 2000.
Yeah.
All right, wait, hold on. I got one more pick left before we do our
and actually for posterity, I want to change my official pick to I got 5 on. That feels better as my actual pick. I just want to bring the attention to You Know Now just because I like it.
Got it. Honorable mention.
I'm just looking at my list and I'm like, that just looks better.
Yes, absolutely. So I have producer left over. We already said RZA. I mean, there's no more picks left, so I'm just gonna. I wrote down a list of 5 picks that I had, and I'll collect it. We can decide what to pick. RZA is the top pick. My second place is probably Havoc, but I just feel like for variety's sake, maybe we should open it up more. I've got 3 left in the cut here, which is JD for Lab Cabin California and a few of the loose joints that were also out there in 95. I am one of those guys who likes Lab Cabin just as much as Bizarre Ride. I know that's like sacrilege, but okay, so you too. Yeah. So you know what? I think I'm going to go with that because even though he didn't do that whole album, like the blueprint was laid there enough that I'm going with that. And not just
he did Splatatorium,
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like not just Running, not just like the She Said remix, but like some of the album credit, like Bullshit was crazy.
Bullshit,
yeah. The other ones that I had were Organized Noise again, because
Cell Therapy could be the best beat of the year. Could be.
Yes.
Could be one of them.
Did they produce Benz or Beamers too?
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
That's one of the best Outkast songs.
That was I think track 3 on my Best of Organized Noise mixtape. Out
So
of the
there you go.
darkness.
There it is. And then I also had Q-Tip on there, even though there's only like, I think really just the 4 songs or 3 songs he did on the Infamous. But again, like those are great.
some of the, yeah.
He did Max the remix to Get Down.
Yeah,
in
that
95.
too. Was that 95? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, I'm going to go with J Dilla. So yeah, are there, this is the lightning round. Anything that we didn't mention that like we just want to give more shout outs to? I know we were kind of doing that before.
I love the Dr. Dre stuff from 95.
Yeah, the Friday soundtrack.
Yep.
Friday soundtrack was big for me.
Keep the heads ringing is crazy.
Mac 10 Take a Hit was the 5th song I played in the year 2025. I was DJing a weed event for New Year's. And I looked up, I was like, wow, Mac 10 Take a Hit at 12:08. This is a different year.
Yeah. I know I said this jokingly early, but when I had on my short list of best beats, I do unironically actually really fuck with the beat for Skilo's I Wish. I've never thought that that's a bad song. I think that like it gets great a really sample. Bad rep. Yeah, it's a great sample and it always makes me happy and it instantly takes me back to 95. But yeah, I just wanted to give some love to that.
Was Gangsta's Paradise bigger than Dear Mama? Now I'm questioning my own self.
100%.
Yeah, Gangsta's Paradise was bigger than everything. I'm pretty sure.
It was fucking huge. All right.
Yeah.
Because we also got Crossroads that year.
No, that was 96 was the remix of Crossroads.
The remix,
oh, the one that was the big one was 96.
That was about Uncle Charles.
Yeah.
So everyone,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I mentioned all my sleepers somewhere in there. I mean, the Nonce is such a big one. Crush. I mean, we didn't really talk about Ace. Do you guys like AC Alone? All Balls Don't Bounce?
Yeah,
I
Mike
wasn't
the
an
remix
AC
is one
Alone
of my
guy.
favorites.
I wasn't an AC Alone guy.
That's another one where I think that all the time. I think about things from that album far more often than makes any sense.
I did a show 2 years ago. I played in a band that had this guy Jordan Katz is a music director. He also was the music director and toured with Brother Ali for a while. He's done a bunch of stuff, and he puts together a lot of bands for like one-offs. And they needed a guitarist, and they tapped me for Project Blowed a couple of years ago. It was like
I remember seeing you were doing that.
Second, and I got to play in rehearsals and the band with the Nonce, with Freestyle Fellowship, with Medusa. So cool. It was fucking unreal. It was really fucking dope, and we got to play mixtapes. I'll send you the.
Nice.
Yeah. I have a link. Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, that's my shit. When I was in LA, I got to meet Satch and go hang out with him a little bit from the Nonce, which I was just like
so dope.
I was like, I feel like I'm meeting like Jay-Z or somebody. I know all your lyrics, buddy.
Super chill guy. Yeah.
Mike Geronimo for The Natural.
Oh yeah.
Because I was definitely up on The Natural. And Mike Geronimo was a nice guy. Every time I've had a conversation with Mike Geronimo, it's been dope. And
former guest on the questions. Yeah.
Oh, was he? Word. I'm surprised we didn't have any real conversation about the KRS-One record from '95 too, which was a really dope.
Yep. I thought about that.
I had it on a couple of my like longer lists, just for the Primo single. Like that one has endured a lot for me. Yeah. So let's go through it. I'll let everybody know. So we'll start it off with Jason Philaflava. Your pick for album of the year was Tupac, Me Against the World. Favorite beat is Milk Bones, Keep It Real. Verse was AZ, Rather Unique. Best guest feature was Nas, Verbal Intercourse. MC overall, Cool G Rap. Best producer was RZA, and album cover was Only Built for Cuban Links. Trackstar, your album was Temples of Boom by Cypress Hill. Beat was a split between I Got Five on It and Showbiz and AG's You Know Now. Verse was Method Man Shadowboxing, first verse. Feature was You Did Another Split between Nas, Fast Life, and Mo Money, Mo Murder, Homicide. Best overall MC was Big L. Producer was DJ Unique. Album cover, Liquid Swords. MidaZ, your album of the year was Only Built for Cuban Links. Beat was Brooklyn Zoo, breaking the Wu-Tang law that had been so strictly adhered to, but nobody could even be mad at you. Best verse is AZ's Uncut Raw. Feature was Nas, Eye for an Eye. Best overall MC was Prodigy. Producer, whoever did the beats on Onyx, All We Got Is Us. And then album cover, The
I was trying
Shining.
to remember who your producer was. That's why I couldn't remember. Because there wasn't one.
Album cover was Smith & Wesson's The Shining, and my best album was the infamous Best Beat was Shook Ones Part 2. Best verse was Biggie on Junior Mafia's Get Money. Guest verse, Andre 3000, Thought Process. MC, Black Thought. Producer, JD, and album cover, Old Dirty Bastard. What a year 1995 was, you guys.
I kind of feel like I smoked y'all on this when I heard it all back. It sounds...
Well, considering one of your picks
stipulation.
is, yeah, and also one of your picks is whoever did the beats on, like, I don't know if you can say you smoked us with that being one of your picks.
And your verse pick sent us all to Genius trying to remember what the hell you were talking about. So
hey, he pulled out Milk Bone, so I don't want to hear.
Hey, man,
I was being left field. I could have said something like "Come with it" with Raskas and Saphir and Ahmad, but I was, you know,
I like that one. Hey, man, I'm not mad at your picks. I'm just saying, you start talking about smoked, then we got to have a discussion. You say smoked, then we got to analyze a little more.
You can't smoke anybody when you're picking Coolio.
Yeah,
that's it.
Don't bring out the smoke for the spicy Italians in the mix here.
I covered the smoke with Temples of Boom. Okay,
well, look,
in East 1999.
We got to bring everybody back to do 96.
Yes, next year.
It was was 96, and that's your favorite knot.
Yeah,
but he wrote
it was written.
That he wrote it.
It was written in 95.
Album it was written. Beat
96.
Nas is coming. Verse the message. Guest verse Prodigy. Overall MC Nas. Producer Track Masters. Album cover it was written.
Case closed. Very short episode, but yeah, we want to know
got
what you all
smoked again,
think.
fellas. Fuck.
Damn it. Let us know what you all think. Hit us up in the comments. Tag us. This was a fun one, and appreciate you guys doing this. And
absolutely.
The Questions Hip Hop Podcast is a proud member of Talkhouse and Stony Island Audio Network. The show is produced and edited by the mighty Rob Van Vranken. The show's theme is by MidaZ the BEAST and Czarism. Shout out to the Patreon. Join the Patreon if you want to support the show and get bonus content and extra goodness. Go to patreon.com/thequestionshiphop or hit the link in the episode notes. And we will be back next week with another episode of the Questions Hip Hop Podcast.